So we get to redo the intro. Good afternoon, Justin. This is a day and a time that I will insert here because I don't know when this is coming up. But currently, I am still in Washington and I just bought a new camera, which you can't see. I don't even know if you can really tell, but I did, and it's exciting. So there's that. And I'm with Josh.
Hi.
Who has made a video on this channel before. He actually introduced himself.
I don't remember.
So let's do that. Let's do an introduction.
Hi, I'm Josh. Chloe and I were in the same class in second grade, and we also went to the same church. So we ended up best friends, like on and off for a few years, and then not friends at all for a few years, and now we're friends again.
Yes, that's about right. Today we kind of wanted to talk about growing up in the Mormon church, and then I don't know, how did you phrase it? Being LGBT while being raised Mormon?
Yeah, being LGBT, and also just learning to be okay with
That.
LGBT issues.
In general, yeah. Yeah, I don't know exactly how it's gonna go. We'll see. But I foresee this kind of going as like a conversation that we're also filming. So, let's start with our first introduction to LGBT in general.
So, both of us are no longer in the church.
Yes.
So we don't have a good feel for exactly how it is now. But when we were growing up, when you're a kid, they don't tell you anything about any LGBT issues.
I wonder if that's changed.
It's definitely possible just because it's so prevalent in the social climate right now, and the church is taking such a stand about it.
And there have been issues recently with the church, political issues with the church, and their statements, and especially this past conference was a rough one. I guess before we get into the actual discussion, I have formally resigned from the church, so I am no longer a member. And Josh has not done that. But you also haven't gone since 8th grade?
Yeah, I stopped believing when I was 13, and I'm 20 now.
So, a while. So, yeah, so there's that. Justin and I were both raised in the church. For people that aren't Justin that are watching this, mostly Cece and maybe Katie. I believe I'm the only person in our family that has formally resigned, although I know that none of us go anymore.
So, like I said, I didn't know that it was even a thing until around the time that I stopped believing. But my first introduction to LGBT issues was when the song I Kissed a Girl by Katy Perry came out. I thought it was a boy singing it, so I never understood why my mom would change the radio station every time it came on. And I asked her about it one day, and she said, because we don't kiss girls. And I thought she was just being like, don't kiss until you're married.
Wait. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to stop you there.
I know, that's not a thing.
Yeah, is did you have...
I was confused.
But, married?
That's what she made it sound like.
Okay.
I was really confused because I thought it was a boy singing it at least until a few months after it had come out, because my friend was talking about it. And she was laughing at some homophobes that were upset by the song. And then it kind of clicked in my head, oh, I guess it was a girl singing it. But my reaction was kind of just oh, that's fine. I guess maybe because my first introduction to LGBT issues was from somebody who was pro-LGBT made a big difference as opposed to someone introducing it to me in the church or whatever.
In a negative light.
Even though my mom was homophobic about it at the time, I didn't get it because I thought it was a boy singing the song. So that was my first introduction.
Mine was a little bit different. Again, for those that don't know, obviously Justin does because family. Our aunt isn't straight. She's not gay. I've actually asked her. She had a partner, a woman who was her partner for, a long time. And it's so funny looking back on it now because I was so young and so innocent and just so naive. Because, like, I really didn't think anything of it. I, like, really thought they were just friends that happened to live together and have a kid together. I thought our cousin was just our aunts and not the other person's. You know, once they got separated, I realized that no, they were raising him together. Growing up, I was always convinced that they were just friends living together until, and this is gonna be a common theme with me, I don't remember the exact conversation. I think it was with Margaret that my mom was talking about our aunt, which was her ex-sister-in-law at that point, and her being in a relationship with a woman. And at this point, I was like 12 or 13. And I don't even know if Justin, I don't know if you know that this is how I figured out that Kathleen was in a relationship with a woman. It literally wasn't until then that it actually clicked in my brain that our aunt was gay. And I didn't really have an emotional reaction to it at all. Like, it wasn't a, oh, that's great, or, oh, that's horrible. It was just kind of like, oh, well, that makes sense.
It's just a thing.
It's just a thing. Like, I don't know. That was my first kind of real introduction to LGBT being a thing. Well, did you ever experience homophobia in the church in general?
No, I did not, because I left. First of all, I left before I came out, and I also left before they started bringing it up in Sunday school lessons and whatever. So I never heard anything about it while I was going to church.
Yeah, you're lucky.
Yeah. Well, you were definitely in junior high because you never told me about that, so...
About Kathleen?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I would have told you.
It would have been 8th grade at least.
Oh god, that's so embarrassing because that means that this didn't happen very soon after. Because my first experience with, well, really, like, my only personal experience with homophobia in the church, I know it happens left and right, but my only personal experience was in 8th grade, which is a little scary, but it's fine. I was in Sunday school, and our teacher, I don't know, was talking about some Bible or book. I don't even remember what book we were studying. Like, I don't know if it was the Old Testament, the New Testament, the Book of Mormon. I have no clue. But we were talking about something, and somehow gay stuff came up. Not rights, just stuff. And he said something negative about it, and somebody in my class, who I really didn't expect to hear it from, took a stand and defended it because his aunt is gay, which I did not know until that moment. But he was defending it and saying, well, like I said, this is a common thing. I don't remember what was said. I don't remember what the topic was. All I remember is being surprised and happy that somebody else saw issue with this. After that, when I was in Young Women's, another friend of ours actually, made a comment about him defending it. And she's not, I'm pretty sure she doesn't have those opinions now. But it was definitely like the first time that I kind of saw her in that way, and that I saw the church in that way of being homophobic and being anti-LGBT. That was a really weird, I guess, sensation. It was kind of one of those bubbles bursting. And then your first homophobic experience was an interesting one, because we already kind of talked about that one.
Yeah, so there's the first homophobic experience where I didn't realize that it was homophobic. The first one where I was aware. First, I should mention I'm trans, assigned female at birth. At this time, I was not out yet. And I had a thing with one of my female friends, an 8th grade thing, so we weren't We weren't dating, but we were dating, but we weren't.
You call it dating, but like you weren't.
And I had lots of issues going on at that time.
I'm gonna stop you. We have a new animal, companion today. Instead of Remus and Draco, this is Cora. She's adorable. She's blind. And she's just kind of snuggled here taking a nap.
Yeah, she's trying to protect me from Chloe.
Oh, okay. You need so much protection.
I had a thing with one of my female friends. And I had a ton of issues going on at the time that was unrelated to LGBT stuff, also related to LGBT stuff, but we'll get into that later. So basically, my parents would take my phone at night and they would read through my texts. So in my texts, they learned that I had a thing with one of my female friends. And this was after we had broken up. But another one of my friends had a crush on me. And my mom had a talk with my brother and I one night. And it was about a lot of things, but one of the things that was mentioned was, I don't know her exact wording, but it was something along the lines of same-sex attraction is not okay. And if you're having those feelings, you need to tell us right now.
So what were they expecting to have happen? Do you know?
After saying that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, did they think that you were gonna tell them and then they were gonna, like, put you in therapy, or...
That's probably what it would have been.
Okay.
And the thing is, I didn't know this, but my dad was not homophobic at all. He just wasn't speaking up. It was my mom, because she was reading straight from the Word of Wisdom and what's, like, the Strength of Youth pamphlet, or what. So I guess my mom is the sweetest person on earth. And she is so different now. She's the ultimate LGBT ally. She's gone to Pride without me like 3 years in a row.
That's really cute.
So it's not like she would have kicked me out of the house or anything. And when I came out as trans, which is a story for another day, she was so supportive, considering she obviously was not into the idea at first, but she came around to it.
I mean, like, from an outsider's perspective of you coming out as trans, it was like her entire dialogue changed.
I know it was really hard for her at first, for a while I'm sure, but she was willing to change. But at the time, I didn't know what she would have done. Because she was always ultra Mormon. That side of the family comes, like, from the earliest Mormons. Like, Heber J. Grant was my great uncle or something like that. So I didn't say anything because I didn't know what they would have done about it. I'm sure they would have put me in therapy, because I was seeing a Mormon therapist for something else, which didn't go well.
Shocker.
But I didn't say anything, and after that was said, they sent my brother away because they had to talk to me about other stuff, because I had a lot of issues. And my dad said, "We know about the girls who have crushes on you," and that was all that was said about that. But I just remember I just felt so angry, because I just felt like they both didn't get it and they weren't going to change, even though I hadn't tried talking to them about it. And back then, I know the church has always been up in the LGBT issues, at least on the down low. Mm-hmm. But back then, when it wasn't so prevalent, it was still so easy to draw your opinions from texts that the church had put out and push those onto your children. And for someone who hasn't been exposed to any LGBT people, like my mom at the time, it was like it kind of tricked her into just closing her heart off to them. Like I said, this was after I had stopped believing, so it didn't cause a faith crisis in me or anything, but it was hard to see that coming from my mom.
When was the first time you had a crush on a girl? Like, that you consciously had a crush on a girl. Not like your first girl crush that you were like, in retrospect, you're like, oh, well, obviously I had a crush on that person. But, like, that you were conscious of it in the moment.
Yeah, I guess the first one that I was conscious about was in 8th grade, and it was after I had stopped believing, but it was before this thing happened, this homophobic thing from my mom.
Yeah, I was a freshman when I first, like, for real had a crush on someone and was very conscious of that crush on that person. It must have been after Tianka when I broke up because I was into him. So maybe this will tell you who it was, but I don't know if you remember who was in our science class.
Oh, you've told me before. I know.
Oh, okay. You know who it is. I sat behind her in science. And it was just kind of one day that I was like, fuck. I have a crush on this person. Well, shit. Do you think growing up in the church and having... Well, you didn't really have that experience as much as I did. Of, like, growing up in a homophobic kind of environment.
Not really, just because I didn't know anything about it for so long. I didn't even know that it was possible to be gay until 5th grade at least.
Yeah.
The only thing that was said about it up until the thing in 8th grade was my mom saying we don't kiss girls to the I Kissed a Girl song on the radio.
I don't even know if it really had an effect on me in the sense of my own self, because at that point I had already kind of turned away from the church and kind of knew that that wasn't really what I wanted and that they weren't always right. It has, however, made it so that I have not told my dad. I am still not out to my dad. He does not know that I'm bi. Okay, we just got interrupted because Britta called me and then Apollo came home. So, it's fine. What the hell were we talking about?
We were talking about you not coming out to your dad.
Who, ironically, is the person that I was just on the phone with.
Somehow the PS4 turned on.
What, is that a coffee machine?
We might want to mention that I think our experiences are super mild.
Oh, yeah.
Because
the church is the only place we've really had to worry about this kind of stuff. Like, you were really fortunate in that when you came out and we were idiot freshmen. Like, we were freshmen in high school. It's not like, it was now. It was when we were still assholes.
Yeah.
Nobody said a word. Like, it wasn't even a deal. And if people did say stuff about it, it was never to your face. They didn't give you a hard time about it.
Yeah, it never reached me if anyone...
It never even reached me, and we weren't even, really close at that point.
Yeah.
You were really fortunate in that. We have GSAs in every single school. We have a Q Center, where it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a queer center for teenagers to go to. We've had a pink prom, which is an LGBT prom, held every year for the past 5 years or more. I don't know when it started, really. We grew up in a very...
open-minded...
I guess, yeah, in a very open-minded town. And we're very fortunate that we were.
Yeah, so if we were Mormon kids growing up in Utah, this would have been a way different video.
This would have been a very much different video.
I might be dead.
Actually.
Yeah.
For real. Whether you killed yourself or somebody else killed you. Actually for real.
Mm-hmm.
Which is terrifying to think about.
We got lucky.
Yes. We got very lucky. So, I guess that's the end of the video. Thank you for talking about this with me.
Thanks for having me on the channel.
And Justin, I will see you tomorrow? Probably tomorrow. Maybe Monday. I don't know when this is going up.